In the early days of building a business, there is an accepted, almost celebrated formula for survival: immense personal sacrifice paired with relentless grinding hustle. When a company enters a new phase of growth, the default response from the person at the helm is to artificially inflate their own input. They stretch their hours, absorb more responsibilities, and tolerate escalating daily stress. The operating assumption here is straightforward. If pouring in 80-hour weeks built the initial momentum, then logically, a heavier sacrifice will continue to force the numbers upward. But raw determination has a diminishing return. Relying on continuous exhaustion is a remarkably fragile way to run an organization, and long-term excellence cannot survive in a constant state of fatigue. A business model that depends entirely on human endurance inevitably hits a mathematical ceiling. Eventually, the demands of the system outpace human capacity, and the system breaks the human. This operational state is often called the growth trap. The company is ostensibly succeeding, yet it only survives through continuous firefighting and sudden, desperate bursts of heroic effort from its core team. In this environment, last-minute emergencies are no longer anomalies to be managed. They become the accepted daily default operating mode for the entire office. Biologically and mathematically, a team cannot operate at maximum output every single day. Asking people to simply work harder and move faster eventually yields mistakes, inefficiencies, and burnout. Scaling a company effectively requires moving away from adding more sweat to the equation. It demands altering the underlying mechanics of the system itself. Effort is a highly volatile resource. It spikes when energy is high and collapses when the team is tired. A baseline, however, is permanent. It operates identically regardless of how tired the staff might be. To bear the heavy, complex weight of its own success, leadership must abandon emergency adrenaline and pivot toward establishing deep, structural stability. High-performing leaders approach scale differently. Instead of artificially applying more pressure to their teams, they permanently elevate their expectations. This line graph compares the difference between spiking effort and establishing a standard. The erratic line represents the hustle model, producing unpredictable highs and dangerous crashes. The steady step-stair progression line demonstrates growth built entirely on rules and routine. Every time a new standard is successfully implemented, the company's operational baseline shifts upward. That new standard locks into place, creating a solid floor that physically prevents performance from backsliding on a slow Tuesday afternoon. True, sustainable scaling is rarely achieved by sprinting toward new, exhausting peaks. It is accomplished at relentlessly, methodically raising the floor of what is minimally acceptable. Moving from theory to practice requires looking at the daily operations of an e-commerce business and identifying exactly where these baseline floors need to be raised. The easiest places to begin are customer communication and operational accuracy. A team can define exactly how fast an inquiry must be answered and how many orders must be shipped without a defect. From there, the exact same parameters are applied to inventory planning, the specific tolerances for product quality, and the strict daily routines required for execution. The internal reaction to this clarity is immediate. Employees no longer have to guess what success looks like or wait for a manager's mood to dictate the rules, because excellence has been explicitly defined. Company-wide decision-making instantly sharpens. Choices are no longer measured against a minimum survival threshold. They are evaluated against these firmly entrenched, stronger expectations. In a framework like this, high quality is no longer an accidental byproduct of a few people working exceptionally hard. It is an integrated, unavoidable feature baked into every process. Predictable excellence is simply the natural output of an operational system where executing poor quality is structurally impossible. Operating on strict standards carries a highly counterintuitive benefit. Instead of stifling a team, rigid expectations actually generate long-term, sustainable motivation. There is immense psychological relief in hitting targets systematically. The team achieves its goals through rhythm and clarity, completely bypassing the need for frantic adrenaline or last-minute panic. The day-to-day nature of the company's progress loses its chaotic, heroic flavor. The environment becomes calm, predictable, and highly scalable. Institutional confidence naturally grows. The team begins to trust that their success is driven by the intelligent design of their own systems, rather than their collective ability to panic effectively. True operational scale is rarely loud, and it is almost never frantic. It is profoundly quiet, remarkably boring, and flawlessly systematic. The timeline for this kind of operational shift stretches out over years. These elevated standards continue to dictate how the business functions long after the specific initial projects that sparked them are completed. The methodology alters the company's internal wiring. It shapes all future strategic decisions and creates a culture that instinctively recognizes and repels subpar work. Exceptional legacy businesses are built by curating an environment where high-quality output is the natural, effortless default, not a rare feat achieved through sheer exhaustion. Choose exactly one specific area of your business this month to evaluate. Find one process and permanently raise the standard of execution for that single task. A single, small, permanent improvement in expectations today is the definitive building block for a massive competitive advantage in the years ahead.